All right, let's talk about Ansible. It's a tool that has totally changed the game in IT automation. If you've ever been in the trenches managing servers, pushing out applications, or trying to wrangle complex IT workflows, you're going to want to stick around. Let's dive right in.
You know that feeling, right? That manual grind of logging into one server, running a command, logging out, and then doing it all over again, maybe 10, 50, or even hundreds of times. It's tedious, it's a recipe for mistakes, and it just doesn't scale. This exact pain point is why tools like Ansible exist.
So, what is Ansible, really? At its heart, it's this incredibly powerful open source tool built to automate, well, pretty much anything in your IT world. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a universal remote for your entire infrastructure. All your servers, your network gear, your cloud services, everything. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to break this down into 5 key parts. First, we'll look at what makes Ansible so simple. Then, we'll get under the hood to see how it works. After that, we'll cover its core features, explore some really important best practices, and finally wrap up with the crucial step of testing your automation code. First up, let's tackle the one thing that makes Ansible so approachable and, frankly, so popular. It all comes down to its agentless design. And the magic word here, the real game changer, is agentless. See, a lot of other automation tools make you install a special piece of software, an agent, on every single server you want to manage. Ansible? It doesn't need that. And that one difference is huge. It means less setup, less stuff to maintain, and a smaller security footprint. It's designed to just work with what your systems already have. Okay, so if there are no agents, how in the world does this thing actually work? That brings us to how Ansible gets things done, its push model. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, we gotta wrap our heads around this really important idea. Ansible is declarative. That means you don't write a script telling it, step 1, do this, step 2, do that. Instead, you just describe the end state you want. You say, hey, this web server needs to be running, or this package must be installed. Ansible is smart enough to figure out all the steps to make that happen. And here's how it actually makes that happen, step by step. Your main machine, the control node, connects to all your other machines using standard stuff like SSH for Linux or WinRM for Windows. Then it pushes a tiny temporary bit of code, a module, over to the machine. It runs that module to get the system into the state you declared, and then it deletes the module. Poof! It leaves no trace, just a perfectly configured machine. It's clean, simple, and really efficient. And this visual really brings it all together, right? You've got your one control node, and from there, it can push out instructions to an entire army of managed nodes, web servers, databases, you name it. It's this beautiful, simple, one-to-many relationship that makes Ansible so powerful without needing any complex setup on the other end. Okay, so we've got the big picture of how it works. Now let's talk about the what, the actual building blocks you'll be working with every day when you use Ansible. Think of this table as your Ansible starter pack. We've already talked about the control and manage nodes. Your inventory is just the list of all those nodes. But the real action happens in the playbooks. These are the blueprints for your automation, written in a really human-readable format called YAML. And inside those playbooks, you use modules, which are like individual tools for specific jobs. And you organize everything into reusable roles to keep your code clean and scalable. Okay, I want to stop for a second on this word, because it is super important. Idempotency. This is one of Ansible's greatest strengths. It basically means you can run the same automation script over and over and over again, and it will only make a change if it actually needs to. If everything is already in the right state, Ansible just says, cool, nothing to do here. This makes your automation incredibly safe and predictable. All right, knowing the tools is half the battle. Now, let's talk about how to use them like a pro. This is all about writing automation that you won't hate looking at 6 months from now. And look, if you take just one thing away from this section, let it be this. Treat your automation like real code. That means using version control, like Git, for everything. It means organizing your projects so they make sense. It means using Ansible's built-in modules instead of just running random shell commands. And for sure, it means keeping your secrets safe with something like Ansible Vault. This discipline is what turns a simple script into a rock-solid automation platform. And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. The end goal isn't just to make a task happen automatically. It's to build a library of automation that's organized, that you can reuse, and that's easy to maintain.
And those roles we mentioned earlier, they are absolutely the key to making that happen. And that brings us to our final and maybe most critical piece of the puzzle, testing. Because just like any other code, your automation code needs to be tested. This is how you make sure you don't accidentally break your entire production environment.
So when we talk about testing, it's not just one thing. There are layers to it. You start with simple sanity tests, which is basically just checking your code for typos and style mistakes. Then you can move up to integration tests to make sure everything works together. But for those really important, reusable roles, the gold standard is scenario-based testing in an isolated environment.
And when it comes to that kind of heavy-duty testing, there's one tool that's really the star of the show: Molecule. It's fantastic. It lets you automatically spin up a fresh, clean environment, like a little Docker container, run your Ansible role against it, check that it did exactly what you wanted, and then just tear it all down. It makes robust testing repeatable and almost effortless.
So let's bring it all home with this one final thought. When you use a tool like Ansible, you've transformed your infrastructure. It's not something you click on anymore, it's something you define in code. So the question I'll leave you with is this: are you treating that code with the same respect and the same rigorous testing that you give your application code? Because the stability of your whole system really depends on it.